Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, Twitter or Instagram at Q and Review, that's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com, that's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback. We apologise for the brevity of this week's Glasgow Times Sports Podcast, but unfortunately the gentleman who normally does most of the recording is unwell, but hopefully we'll have Bill back as soon as possible, and in the meantime we've done the best we can. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 3rd of February, from the sports section: Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1. Instant reaction to the burning issues. Report by Graham McGarry. Aberdeen held Celtic to a draw after a thrilling second half at Pittodrie in Peter Levine's first game as interim manager, with the visiting fans showing their anger at the club's lack of activity in the transfer market and their weaknesses laid bare on the pitch. After a dull first half, Bojan Miovski kicked home the opening goal just after the interval to light the blue touch paper, before Nick Kuhn came off the bench to immediately mark his Celtic debut with the equaliser. Both sides had chances to win it in a thrilling second period, but ultimately had to settle for a point apiece. Here are the talking points from Pittodrie. Here's what you could have won, Celtic. It is hardly a secret that Miovski is one of the best strikers in the Premiership, and it continues to perplex a little why neither Celtic nor Rangers have felt him worth the investment of around £5 million it would take to land him. Celtic got the full Jim Bowen treatment here, as he got an acute reminder of what they could have won, as Miovski tucked home a brilliantly executed opener for the hosts. Alexandro Bernabei gave the ball away high up the pitch, plus a challenge, and in a flash of Dante Polvares' boot, Miovski was bearing down on Mike Navroki, who had the look of a rabbit caught in foglights. The striker created a yard with ease, shifting the ball into his left foot and curling a beauty beyond Joe Hart and into the far corner. The travelling supporters' mood, already black, was darkened further as Pittodrie exploded. Transfer window woes and, later, small wins. As the first game after a transfer window that had their fans up in arms, it could hardly have played out worse for the Celtic board. There was always likely to be a public rebuke here from the fans towards their board for the perceived lack of activity during January and their lack of support for Brendan Rodgers. The Celtic manager had made it plain in his pre-match press call that he'd been trying to convince the club's moneymen to loosen the purse strings at least a little out with their normal range, and their failure to do so amounts to taking an unnecessary gamble with the league title in the eyes of the supporters. And so it proved here, as points were spilled and the door opened for Rangers. A banner was unfurled prior to kick-off that read, "Celtic board, on your heads be it," while a chant of "sack the board" rang out alongside a refrain that would have left Chairman Peter Lawwell, or perhaps his son Mark, the club's head of recruitment, in no doubt about where the Celtic fans thought he should get to. The cost of their inaction was evident here, though they might have felt at least partly vindicated, mind you, as Celtic hit back. Immediate impact from Kuhn and Adam Adaya. Celtic were wobbling alright after Aberdeen hit the front, and Rodgers had seen enough on the hour, as he hooked Bernabei to put Anthony Ralston in at left back, and threw new boys Kuhn and Ida on together for their debuts, the latter up top with Kyogo Furuhashi playing off him. It took them 4 minutes to hold the champions level, as Kuhn drifted in off the right and exchanged passes with Ida, who showed those cliched, nice feet for a big man, to work the ball back to Kuhn in a shooting position. He took a touch and fired home across Ruth via deflection, and it was game on again. Ida, for his part, showed enough to suggest he could be a handy option, holding the ball up well and bringing others into play. Second half slugfest, a joy to watch. In the first half, if the first half was a chess match, with Celtic trying in a familiar vein to unlock a deep-lying opposition backline, then the second half was a slugfest as Aberdeen finally threw the gloves off and went toe-to-toe with the visitors. The goal helped, of course, but when Celtic drew level, there was no hint of either side settling for what they had. Indeed, Celtic were wide open at the back, and they had Hart to thank as he pulled off a huge save from Graham Shinnie to keep them on level terms, though the Don skipper will feel he really should have scored. Still, both teams continued to go all out for the win, but that was not forthcoming and was probably the right outcome. Luis Palma frustrates. It was a footnote to the game perhaps, but the Honduran winger is quite the conundrum. His numbers are very good since arriving at Celtic in terms of goals and assists, with 8 of the former and 9 of the latter in all competitions this season. He would have had his 9th goal too early on had it not been for the intervention of VAR, which took an age to spot, and he was a good couple of yards offside as he tapped in after Kelly Roos had saved from Liala Abada shot. Quite how the assistant referee in the field didn't raise his flag only he knows, and quite why it took the VAR officials the guts of 3 minutes to rule the goal out we will never know. But in fairness, at least the technology got to the right decision in the end. But the flip side to Palma is that he is so one-footed he continually cuts inside, slows everything down, and very rarely does he get a cross in that Kyogo could attack, in part explaining the striker's own troubles. And that report was by Graham McGarry. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 3rd of February, Sport. Philip Clement unfazed by Celtic draw as Rangers close gap, by Ewan Payton. Philip Clement insists he was unfazed by Celtic's draw at Aberdeen ahead of the Rangers game against Livingston. The champions dropped points in the Premiership title race at lunchtime as Don's caretaker Peter Levin guided the Reds to a 1-1 draw at Pittodrie. Rangers did their bit to heap more pressure on the Hoops by cruising past Premiership strugglers Livingston. Fabio Silva, Rabbi Matondo and Todd Cantwell scored as the Ibrox club won 3-0 to close the gap at the summit of the table to just 3 points. Of course, Clement's team boasts a game in hand too. Speaking to BBC post-match, the Belgian was adamant he was not paying attention to the results of other teams. "I'm not busy with Celtic or other teams," the 49-year-old said. "I am only busy with winning games. I will be busy with the ranking at the end of the season, the last 2 or 3 games. We need to focus on ourselves. When you start to focus on others and how they are playing, you lose focus on yourself. I see a team growing month by month and playing more of the football I want to see. We are not there yet. We are not at our maximum. We have new signings to integrate as well, which will be very interesting. I don't want my players to be thinking of other things. I want momentum, but I want it all season. The word moment is there. I want consistency, this level all season and to raise our level. I don't want momentum, I want consistency." Meanwhile, Chris Boyd has warned Aberdeen's chief someone needs to get a grip of the football club. Barry Robson was sacked by Dave Cormack the week following a poor Premiership campaign to date. Article by Ewan Payton. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 3rd of February, from the sports section. Rangers 3, Livingston 0. Instant reaction to the burning issues. By Matthew Lindsay, chief football writer. Rangers will move to the top of the Cinch Premiership table if they defeat Aberdeen by 3 goals at Ibrox on Tuesday evening, after cutting Celtic's lead to 3 points with a 3-0 win over Livingston this afternoon. Brendan Rodgers' men, being held to a 1-1 draw by managerless opponents at Pittodrie in the early game, added a definite edge to the atmosphere in Govan before kick-off. The home supporters in the 49,688 strong crowd says the encounter with the bottom place team in the top flight would be significant in the Scottish title race. Philip Clement's side duly produced the triumph they longed for against David Martindale's team, thanks to first half goals from Fabio Silva and Rabbi Matondo, and a second half strike from Todd Cantwell. If they do win in midweek and move into first place, then their stay there may be short-lived as their city rivals take on Hibernian at Easter Road the following evening. However, they have a game in hand against Ross County at Ibrox to play and momentum behind them. They improved their goal difference with this one-sided result and are now just 2 behind the defending champions. Here are 5 talking points from the match. Silva off the mark. It has taken the Portuguese striker a little time to find his feet in Scotland since joining on loan from Wales last month, but the £35 million forward has worked hard on all of his appearances to date, and he finally opened his account this afternoon. He did well to volley home after Connor Golston had nodded a Borna Banashik corner to him in the opposition 6-yard box. The 21-year-old did not play a great deal of football down south in the first half of the season, but he looks fitter and sharper than he was when he first arrived. Getting on target for the first time since August will do wonders for his confidence. He was unlucky not to bury a spectacular effort before being replaced by Cyril Dessers. Balogun blow. Rangers centre-half Leon Balogun received several minutes of medical treatment as he lay in the Ibrox turf in the first half, following a clash of heads with Livingston midfielder Sean Donnellan. The Nigerian internationalist eventually got back to his feet. He was, however, unable to continue. He came off and John Suter took his place alongside Golston in the heart of the host's backline. Suter is an experienced and accomplished defender who has performed consistently well for the Glasgow outfit since joining them from Hearts 2 summers ago. He had little difficulty dealing with Joel Nobley and then Bruce Anderson after they came on today. Still, Clement will be hoping that Balogun is not sidelined for too long. The former Werder Bremen, Fortuna Düsseldorf and Mainz 05 man has been one of the most consistent performers since he arrived in this country in October. He is, too, still without Ben Davies and a lot of big games are coming up. Borna's back. The Croatian left-back returned to the Rangers starting lineup for the first time since the league win over Aberdeen at Ibrox, way back in December the 17th, and helped to set up the opener. But will the 31-year-old, who spent a spell on the sidelines with a muscle strain before the winter break, retain his place going forward? Reid van Yilmaz enjoyed arguably his best spell of form since he moved back to Scotland back in 2022, when he was out, and is still very much part of the squad after his much mooted away failed to materialise during the January transfer window. The Turkish internationalist came on for Barisic during a triple substitution on the hour mark and performed brightly. He struck the crossbar with a long-range attempt in the closing stages. He is likely to be the preferred against Aberdeen. Cortes debut. New Rangers signing Mohamed Diomande was given a warm reception when he was paraded on the pitch before the game got underway. But the £4.5 million Ivorian midfielder has not played competitively since the end of November and is not ready to don a light blue jersey just yet. However, Oscar Cortes, the Colombian winger who joined from Lons on deadline day, came on in the second half and took over from Matondo. He was unable to create any opportunities or get in on the goals. It was, though, easy to see why Clement was so pleased to land him. Making an early debut will help him to settle. Lamentable Livingston. There are still another few months of the 2023-24 campaign to go and 14 more games to be played. But it looks, even at this early stage, as if the West Lothians outfit's 6-year stay in the Premiership will come to an end in May. They failed to register a single shot on target during the 90 minutes and were fortunate not to lose by far more. Livingston had Jamal George to thank for keeping them on level terms during the opening 40 minutes. The English goalkeeper produced excellent saves from Ryan Jack, James Tavernier and Matondo before he was finally beaten by Silva. His opposite number Jack Butland had, in stark contrast, next to nothing to do. Martindale brought in 4 players during the window and David Carson and Donnellan were involved today. He needs his new boys to perform and his team to improve considerably if they are to survive. And that report was by Matthew Lindsay. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 3rd of February, Sport. Rodgers denies Rangers have title initiative over Celtic. By Graham McGarry. Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers denied that his side had handed the initiative to the Premiership title race to Rangers after their disappointing draw at Pittodrie, saying that his men are still well in a fight that has a long way to go yet. The points that the champions spilled meant that Rangers could draw level with them at the top of the table, providing they went on to beat Livingston at Ibrox later in the day, and then win their game in hand against Ross County. But Rodgers isn't worried about his team losing momentum and being reeled in by their rivals just yet. Have we handed the initiative to Rangers? No, not at all, Rodgers said. Listen, there's still a long way to go and many points to fight for. We just have to focus on ourselves and find a greater consistency. Before the break, we had good performances with speed in our game. We need that in every game. Last week we weren't so good but won. Today we weren't so good and ended up with a draw. It's just about finding a consistent level again, because we're dropping too many points. I'd never say a point here is a good result. I always come here to win, as I've always done as Celtic manager. I always expect to do that. I can never say I'll take the point, I expect to win. We were okay in the first half and created opportunities, but we just needed to be more clinical. You could sense Aberdeen's results haven't gone so well, their confidence was maybe low, so we had to exploit that, but we didn't do it. In the second half we weren't aggressive enough. When you're playing against that type of team, you have to be good in first, second and third balls, then settle the game. And you have to stop counter-attacks. For the goal we lost, we were loose in our pass, and they broke through with too much ease. We didn't defend what their striker does best, he wants to come in on his left foot. So that was really disappointing. As told to Graham McGarry. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 3rd of February, from the sports section, Warnock in frame for Aberdeen job as Lennon is ruled out, by Ewan Payton. Neil Warnock is in the frame to take over as Aberdeen manager. The Dons intend to appoint an interim manager until the end of the season. BBC Sport claims that experienced boss Warnock is one of 3 candidates the Pittodrie board have spoken to. It said Dave Cormack is hopeful of making an appointment next week, with Peter Levin in caretaker charge. Neil Lennon, Jack Ross and Alec Neil have all been ruled out for the interim position. Aberdeen take on Premiership leaders Celtic at Pittodrie this lunchtime. They sit 8th in the table, 2 points off the top 6. Warnock, 75, was most recently in charge of Huddersfield. His management career has spanned 44 years. Meanwhile, Derek McInnes has quashed rumours that Kilmarnock gazumped St Mirren with an over-the-odds financial offer for Kevin Van Veen. The former Motherwell striker completed a loan switch to Rugby Park from F3 Groningen on deadline day. Van Veen, nicknamed the Budget Bergkamp, chose a move to Kilmarnock over offers from St Mirren and former club Motherwell. Groningen has accepted similar proposals from St Mirren and Kilmarnock for Van Veen, 32, but the forward decided to join McInnes after initial discussions held back in December. It became clear that it was between us and St Mirren. We had to go every step of the way with them, said McInnes of the transfer pursuit for Van Veen. It's 2 clubs that had a similar size with similar ambitions. We were in a fight. Thankfully, the clubs supported us on it, and it got to the point both clubs agreed a deal and it was down to Kevin. I need to quash the rumour or the narrative that we threw loads of extra money at it. We never, and that's a fact. And that article was by Ewan Payton. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, Sport. I trust the recruitment people. They got me. This article is unattributed. Todd Cantwell has expressed confidence the Rangers recruitment team have brought in players who can boost the Ibrox club's chances of landing more silverware in the second half of the season. Belgian manager Philippe Clement strengthened his squad considerably during the January transfer window by making 3 signings: Oscar Cortez, Mohamed Diomande and Fabio Silva. Silva, the £35 million Portuguese striker who arrived on loan from Wales last month, opened the scoring in the 3-0 cinched Premiership win over bottom place Livingston in Govan on Saturday. Winger Cortes, who joined on loan from Lens on deadline day on Thursday, came in for Rabbi Matondo in the second half and helped the Holts to see out the victory. Meanwhile, former Norwich Zealand midfielder Diomande, who has not played since the end of November, was paraded in front of fans before kick-off. Viaplay Cup winners Rangers are still involved in 3 competitions, the Premiership, the Scottish Cup and the Europa League, and have a hectic schedule ahead of them. However, playmaker Cantwell, who netted his 4th goal in 7 appearances against Livingston, is certain the new recruits can help them to enjoy a successful 2023-24 campaign. "I trust the recruitment team," he said with a smile. "They got me, so I'm presuming the new signings are good enough." Cantwell, who was signed from Norwich City in January last year, has put his injury problems behind him and is confident he can continue to contribute. "I am getting there," he said. "It has been tough. A lot of people forgot that I've been out for 2.5 to nearly 3 months. There is always a lot of noise about me, and I know I'm the type of player who invites that, but as long as they're seeing all the good stuff as well, then that is alright." And that article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, from the sports section. "I've got stud marks. Carson confounded by VAR call for opener." Article by Matthew Lindsay. Livingston new boy David Carson has expressed his surprise that Rangers' opening goal at Ibrox on Saturday was not disallowed following a VAR check because he believed he had been fouled by Connor Goldson in the build-up. The struggling West-Lothian club managed to prevent their hosts from scoring for the first 40 minutes of the cinched Premiership match in Govan at the weekend. But Fabio Silva broke the deadlock after Goldson had knocked a Borna Barisic corner down to him, and Philip Camon's team went on to beat David Martindale's side 3-0. Livingston players protested to referee John Beaton after the Silva strike because they were convinced that midfielder Carson had been taken out of play by the Rangers centre-half just before it. However, the goal was allowed to stand after VAR official Matthew McDermott had viewed replays over at Clydesdale House. English midfielder Carson, who moved to the Tony Macaroni Arena from Inverness Caledonian Thistle during the January transfer window, was baffled by the call. "It was a wrong decision in my opinion," he said. "I think it's a foul. I've taken a knock. I've got stud marks down my body, on my thigh, and I've got a dead leg. I've clearly gone to attack the ball, got my head on it, and I've been taken out after that. He's got a high foot. If anything, he just misses my head. Look, I made contact with the ball and then he made contact with me. It's a foul in my opinion. I'm surprised VAR didn't disallow it, but I can't make the decision. They've made it. I spoke to the referee. He can't tell me anything on it. He's just said they've made the decision and that's what it is. I've not looked at it back and I can't see why it's not a foul." Carson added, "We knew it was going to be tough. I actually thought we did fairly well in the first half. We limited them to a few chances. The first goal was a sucker punch. That takes the stuffing out of us. It's always a mountain to climb from then on. Up until then, I thought we limited them. We've then got to come out and try to get back in the game, so we opened up a little bit, but more. Then it's a hard one. Look, I can't comment too much more on it. They've made the decision. As I've said, in my opinion, I don't think it's the right one, but we've got to take it on the chin." Livingston, who play Kilmarnock at Rugby Park in the league on Wednesday night, remain 6 points adrift of Ross County at the bottom of the Premiership table, but Carson stressed that he and his teammates are still upbeat about their chances of staying up. "Everyone is in it together," he said. "We know what's required to get us out of this situation. In terms of the spirit around the place, everything is really positive. We've just got to put the Rangers game to bed quickly and look towards Wednesday. It's a massive game for us. We want to go there and take 3 points. It's hard for me to put my finger on how we get back to winning ways as I've just come in the door, but getting the first goal in a game is obviously going to boost the boys' confidence. If we can do that, then we can go on from there. We'll do all our work this week on the pitch and look forward to Wednesday. It's going to change at some point. We've got to go into every game and look to pick up points. That'll be the aim. That's the task that's set for us between now and the end of the season. We've got to take one game at a time. It's a hard situation for the club, the players, and the fans. Everyone has got to stick together. The fans are going to be a massive part of this. Especially in the home games, we want them to come out in big numbers and support us as best they can. We're obviously in this situation, so the more support we have from them is going to gee the boys up more. I hope they stick with us, come out in numbers and are our 12th man. And that report was by Matthew Lindsay. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, Sport. Arteta vows to deliver chaos into title race. Article by Mail Cameron. Mikel Arteta believes Arsenal are ready to bring some chaos to the Premier League title race. The Gunners moved to within 2 points of leaders Liverpool with a thrilling 3-1 win over the Reds at the Emirates Stadium. We are there, that's for sure. We want to continue to be there, said Arteta. We've been really consistent all season. If not, you aren't where we are today. We take it game by game. The availability of the squad is going to be crucial. We have learned that from last season. Let's try to make that happen. 2 errors from Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson Becker cost the visitors dearly. The Gunners had gifted the Reds an equaliser as Gabriel Magalhaes' own goal on the stroke of half-time cancelled out Bukayo Saka's opener. But a mix-up between Virgil van Dijk and Alisson allowed Gabriel Martinelli to round off a fine individual performance by re-establishing Arsenal's lead before substitute Leandro Trossard fired straight through the goalkeeper's legs in stoppage time. It was an extraordinary game, added Arteta. An incredible performance from the players and our people. That's the best atmosphere I've seen all season. We demanded that. We had to go to a different level and connect it again to the demands that this league has. I think the players left absolutely everything. They put their heart and soul in every single ball. I cannot be any prouder because this is how hard it is to beat this team. How much you have to suffer and how much you have to process to do what we did in the ball. So big thank you. Control is not really a word I like. I like dominance and not allowing teams to breathe more than control. In which part of the pitch that happens is the most important thing for me, but yes, we can be very chaotic in open spaces and can create a lot of issues playing in different ways. That is another weapon that we have. Liverpool, who also lost defender Ibrahima Konate to a late red card, will be overtaken by Manchester City if they win their 2 games in hand. But boss Jurgen Klopp insisted. At the final whistle, I didn't think for a second about the number of games left for City. We have to play to our potential and deal with difficulties around the games and play with our soul on the pitch, and we will see where it ends up. I'm not nervous now because of the 2 games in hand for City. We expect them always to win their games. Nothing really changes. We would have loved to have won here, but we were not good enough. Today, nobody celebrates as champions and nobody is relegated. We have time to create our own destiny. Today, everything went against us. We got a red card and they didn't get a red card. Some situations could have been different, but it's done and I don't care about it anymore. Elsewhere, Matthias Cunha bagged a hat-trick as Wolves claimed a 4-2 comeback victory against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, where the home side vented their anger at the stuttering Blues. Cole Palmer put the hosts in front in the 19th minute, but Gary O'Neill's team took control as Cunha drew level with a shot that deflected in off a Thiago Silva. Ryan Aid-Nouri's shot bounced off Alex Desailly for an own goal as another deflection handed Wolves the lead just before half-time, and Cunha starred in the second half, netting his second in the 63rd minute before completing his hat-trick from the penalty spot before Silva scored a consolation goal for Chelsea. Young forwards Rasmus Højlund and Alejandro Garnacho starred for Manchester United as they beat West Ham 3-0 at Old Trafford. Højlund celebrated his 21st birthday in style, putting United ahead with his 4th Premier League goal in as many games before 19-year-old Garnacho scored twice in the second half. Callum Hudson-Odoi rescued a point for Nottingham Forest as he drew 1-1 with Bournemouth. And that report was by Mel Cameron. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, Sport. Kettlewell wants to turn draws into victories. Article by Henry McCall. Stuart Kettlewell is looking for Motherwell to start turning draws into victories as he aims to steer his side clear of danger at the foot of the cinched Premiership table. Motherwell have drawn their last 3 league fixtures and have accumulated 10 draws in 23 Premiership matches this season. The Steelmen lacked the cutting edge required to claim 3 points in a 1-1 draw against Kilmarnock at Fir Park. After Theo Blair level proceedings, they would pass up a number of good chances to complete the turnaround. We now sit 5 unbeaten, and I think a lot of those games, St Johnstone, Hibernian and today against Kilmarnock, I thought we should have won, Kettlewell said. It's a good performance from the players, it really is. Kilmarnock are so difficult to play against and carry so many threats. It's a little bit of disappointment, but at this stage of the season with big games coming up, I'd rather be in this position where we're being competitive and dominating large parts of games. You normally then get your just rewards. Motherwell are facing a busy February in which they will be in action 7 times. The stalemate with Kilmarnock was the first of 4 games in the space of 12 days, with league fixtures against Ross County and Aberdeen, as well as a Scottish Cup clash with Morton on the horizon. It's going to be tough, it's going to be physically demanding, but we're playing well, he added. I believe your next win is round the corner when you're playing well, and if you're playing poorly, you'll probably get what you deserve. There were more options on the bench. I only made 2 changes as I felt we were in control and making chances. Going into that busy schedule, I'd rather be playing well and have those options on the bench, because I think that will stand us in good stead for what comes next. Kilmarnock manager Derek McInnes felt his side failed to do enough to clinch victory. Lewis Mears' wonder strike had Kelly in the driving seat, but they were paid back for the second successive week when Bear found the net with 8 minutes remaining in the first half. It was a wee bit untidy with the pitch and the wind getting it up, but it was a fantastic goal from Lewis, McInnes said. A lot has been said about our away form, especially early in the season, but in recent months we've been picking up points and it's another point today. I didn't think we looked like going on and winning the game, but I did feel pretty comfortable. I did think if anyone was going to win it, it was Motherwell, as they played more of the game in our half. And that article was written by Henry McCall and read today by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, Sport. Kuhn makes an impression amid backdrop of civil war at Parkhead. German pleased to provide impact as supporters chain fire on Celtic board. Article by Graham McGarry. Nicholas Kuhn would have been forgiven for wondering just what he has wandered into in joining Celtic as he warmed up as a substitute at Pittodrie. Last week, his team were booed off after beating Ross County as he made his debut from the bench. This week, there were loud, angry protests from the travelling support towards the club's board and a banner which castigated them for their January transfer window business when he was their headline capture. That's before we even get to the action on the pitch. To describe Aberdeen's approach to the first half as rudimentary would be painting it in a favourable light. They dug in deep, shelled the ball back to Celtic whenever it landed at their feet, and only got to half-time on level terms due to the visitors' wastefulness in front of goal. Lewis Palmer was the chief culprit, the winger having one of his frustrating days as he had a goal ruled out for a clear offside after a bizarrely long VAR check, and blowing 2 other great opportunities, clipping the top of the bar with the best of those. Paulo Bernardo also dinked one off the woodwork, but it seemed a matter of time before Celtic would find the net. Fair play to Aberdeen interim manager Peter Levine for his half-time words of wisdom, with his instructions to his men in red to relax paying off. They were a team transformed after the interval, helped along by the brilliantly taken opener from Bojan Miovski with his first sniff of the game. The travelling support were apoplectic. Celtic were certainly on the rack. Martin Avroki seemed particularly rattled and was lucky not to be shown a second yellow card. Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers turned to his bench and sent an SOS to his new signings. Within minutes, Kuhn had combined with Adam Ida to fashion a leveller, albeit with the aid of a deflection of Nicky Devlin, and from there it was anyone's game. Kuhn showed moments of calm amidst the maelstrom, and moments of quality too whenever he received the ball as it was shuttled frantically from one end to the other. It has been quite an introduction to the Scottish game for Kuhn and life at Celtic, but he showed he could handle it. And afterwards, he showed that he fully understands the demands now resting on his shoulders. This was not seen as a point gained on the road after falling behind. This was 2 points spilled in the title race, no matter which way you slice it. I am happy to score my first goal for Celtic, but we wanted to take the 3 points, Kuhn said. That's why I came here, and the coach wanted me on because he wanted me to make an impact. I am happy I scored, but in the end it wasn't good enough. It is frustrating. We came here for the 3 points. And we are disappointed, but we need to keep going. We have a chance to do better this week. We have some pressure here because we have to win, and we want to win every game. We just have to do it better next week. I have played with some big clubs before with the same expectation. It is nothing new for me. It is good to have pressure. I don't think you can go in and think the middle of the table is enough. It's one of the reasons why I came here. There's a long way to go and a lot of games to play. Of course, we need to be positive. We need the fans, and we also need to stay together so we can improve and get better and better in every game. Of course, we believe we can win the title. The quality of the team is very good. We will also give our best every week. In the first half, we had a couple of good chances and we just needed to score. It was a little more difficult to go 1-0 down, but we showed some character and came back. We wanted 3 points because 1 is not enough. We are a bit disappointed. We can't drop too many points, but we need to keep going. In fairness to Celtic fans who protested at the game on Saturday, their anger was not directed at the players who were brought in during January, but inspired by the players who were not brought in. Both Ida and Kuhn received their full backing, and the winger is hoping to show them over the coming weeks that while they might not have got everything they wanted last month, what they do have is some added quality on the flanks at least. This was my second game in 7 weeks now, he said. I have to get used to playing again. I'm settling down in Glasgow and I'm feeling better and better. Of course, there is so much more to come. As I said, it's only my second game, and I hope to show over the coming weeks I can get better and better. And that article was written by Graham McGarry. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, Sport. Kwon will get better as Robinson praises Celtic loanee's impact. This article is unattributed. Stephen Robinson praised on-loan Celtic midfielder Kwon Hyok-kyu for his part in St Mirren's biggest away victory over Hibernian since 1985. The Buddies cruised to a convincing 3-0 cinched Premiership victory at Easter Road, with first-half goals from Alec Gogic, Greg Keelty and Mikel Mandarin considering the meek Hibs to a 4th defeat in 6 league matches. Midfielder Kwon, ably assisted by Cullen Boyd-Morris in the centre of midfield, helped to set the tone for an excellent away performance. The 22-year-old South Korean joined Saints for Celtic last month after failing to make an appearance for the Parkhead side since his £1 million transfer from Busan iPark last summer, and manager Robinson has been impressed with the way he has settled in Paisley. Kwon was very good, he said. You don't pay £1 million for players and they don't have quality. It's about game time now for him. He has hit the ground running and I feel he'll get better. That was his best performance so far. He understands what we want and he's given us real composure on the ball. But as his fitness levels increase, I think he'll get better. We made a decision to go with 3 out-and-out defenders in a 3-4-3 formation in Alec Gogic, Marcus Fraser and James Bolton. So you need your quality on the ball to come from your 2 midfielders, Kwon and Boyd Munce. I thought they dominated the game. The 2 of them are technically gifted, but I thought they also did the other side of the game very well. They were the catalyst for everything we did. They were a massive part of that team performance. We should have won by more. I don't think Zach Hemming had a save to make. And that's real credit to the players because Hibs are a good side. Hibs supporters were furious with our team's performance, and manager Nick Montgomery admitted they were outfought and got exactly what we deserved. The Easter Road boss, who gave game time to 5 of his 7 January signings on Saturday, is hoping to have Australia pair Martin Boyle and Lewis Miller back from Wendy's visit from Celtic after the Socceroos were eliminated from the Asian Cup on Friday. Rocky Bashiri, however, is set to remain unavailable as DR Congo face Ivory Coast in the African Cup of Nations semi-finals on Wednesday. We're hoping Lewis Miller and Martin Boyle will come back, but Rocky is still away, said Montgomery. Without bringing on loan Sunderland defender Nectar Trantis in, we'd have had only one centre-back in Will Fish, so it was a big ask starting Trantis. He needs a little bit of game time. I'm not sure if they, Miller and Boyle, will be back for the game. Hopefully they'll be back in the next couple of days. And the article was unattributed. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, from the sports section. Levine keen to steal a march on his rivals. Report by John McGill. Craig Levine knows how much of a threat St Johnstone's pacey players can pose to other sides in the Cinch Premiership. In particular, Benjamin Kimpioka was a constant threat to Ross County's defenders as Saints won 1-0 in Dingwall on Saturday. He used his speed to full effect to score the winning goal, latching onto a through ball forward to race through before using his quick footwork to pick out the far corner. Earning all 3 points with some key players missing, including the likes of Liam Gordon, was a major boost to St Johnstone in the battle to avoid a relegation fight this season. Sometimes just having players with pace is enough to make a difference in a match, Levine said. The goal wasn't just pace and a simple finish, he put the ball right inside the bottom corner and showed great precision. We'll all be going down the road quite happy. I didn't feel under pressure during the game. Sometimes you feel it in the touchline, but we dealt with our crosses really well. The injuries are nothing major, just wee muscle strains, but if you put them in it gets worse, you're looking at 6 weeks out. There were more precautions, hopefully they will be alright for Wednesday, but I thought the guys that came in were excellent. All in all, it was a pretty good game for us. Ross County boss Derek Adams is dealing with a number of injuries himself. 7 players missed a game against St Johnstone, with the likes of Scott Allardyce and Conor Randall having to undergo operations. Ahead of a quick return to action at Motherwell tomorrow night, it is unlikely any of them will be back available, which Adams said justifies what ended up having to be a busy January transfer window. A lot of these players have had injuries throughout the season and issues that need to be sorted with operations, Adams said. We had 7 players out injured today and that's not easy. A lot of them will be out for a period of time, which has meant I needed to go and sign 7 players. If we didn't do that, I don't know where we would have been today. Article written by John McGill. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, Sport. Tunnel vision. Cantwell says Rangers are focused on prizes at hand. Midfielder insists own performances are all that matter to come alongside. Article by Chief Football Writer Matthew Lindsay. The significance of Rangers' win over Livingston at Ibrox on Saturday was not lost to any of the home supporters in the 49,688 crowd. The roar which went around the stadium when referee John Beaton blew his final whistle showed they were well aware of the implications of the 3-0 rout. If Philip Camont's team beat managers Aberdeen and Govan tomorrow evening, they will move level on points with Celtic at the top of the Cinch Premiership table. If the margin of victory is 3 or more, they will edge ahead of their city rivals in goal difference for the first time in the 2023-24 campaign. Yet, the players in the park are, in stark contrast to those who cheered them on from the stands on match days, oblivious to their league position. I wasn't actually aware of that, said Rangers playmaker Todd Cantwell when he was told the weekend results meant in the Scottish title race in the immediate aftermath of the Livingston triumph. Camont has repeatedly stressed that he does not care about how close his charges are to defending champions since replacing Michael Beale as manager in October, because he is concentrating solely on performances. That attitude is clearly rubbed off on his squad members. The message inside is we are tunnel vision at the minute, said Cantwell. I think it's as important to be. We were in a position where we were chasing, and I think the most important thing when you're chasing is to have tunnel vision. Don't look around. You don't need to know what is going on elsewhere. Do what you can do, and be in control of what you can be in control of. 100%, this fan base deserves to be excited about things. They deserve to be fighting for every trophy that we are involved in, even the European one. We deserve to be excited about it because we are a good team, we've got good players. You know what football's like, you can win anything. It is possible to do so. The fans deserve to be excited for that. But I think as players we are professional for a reason. There is a lot of football left to play. We knew that when the manager came in. Listen, we're going to keep doing what we are doing, let's see where we end up. It is for the fans to be excited about. We are obviously excited about it. We know what we want to do. We know what we set out to do at the start of the season. It didn't start great for us, but I've said all along, and I've heard other players say it, it is a long season. In that sense, what happens elsewhere is out of our control. Focusing on his own form has paid dividends for Cantwell. He has got back to something approaching his best in recent weeks. The second half goal he scored against Livingston was his 4th in 7 appearances. So what has been the reason for his revival? He believes it is collective as much as individual. It is difficult to put a finger on something specifically for me personally, he said, but I think we are a different Rangers team. I think that's clear. What it is for me personally is a real hunger and togetherness in the group. I don't actually know if that comes from the manager. I think that comes from the changing room. The manager has obviously got that out of us because he wasn't there at the start of the season. Listen, I think we're in a really good place. The boys feel it, we feel it. Like I say, we have just got to look forward to the next game. Cantwell continued. Don't get me wrong, the manager deserves massive credit because the position we were in and the changing room we were in were very different when he came in. You can feel the difference in there now. I won't be the only player to say that. We are steaming up. That's what we're doing. We are heating up. It is great to be part of it at the moment. It is a mentality. The mentality I think was always there. When you lose the first game of the season against Kilmarnock, it is a massive dull for us and a massive boost for them. We know how that works. Let's not be stupid. So, at the start of the season, it looked like it was a one-horse race. It is really important what the manager has said from the moment he walked in. We're not interested in what is going on elsewhere. If we do what we do, we will find ourselves in a really good position. Former Norwich City midfielder Cantwell has found himself in a really good position personally of late. The number 10 role which he prefers to play. He was deployed on the right flank early on in Kilmarnock due to injuries and never looked entirely comfortable or effective there. But the emergence of Ross McCausland, whose pass he fired beyond Shamrock George on Saturday, has seen him return to his favoured berth in the starting lineup. I'm playing centrally as a number 10 now, and I'm giving out the numbers that I think I can do, he said. The manager knows what my best position is. His words to me were, when I first came in we had a few injuries, we had a few complications in a sense. Listen, I am playing in a position I like and I think I am showing that is my best position. I am thankful to the manager for giving me that game time. The thing that's clear is I am playing as a different number 10 than I was before. It is a different style, a different way of playing, the way we are playing just. You can see that I am not being asked to play the way I was last season. I see a lot of comments. Todd's not getting involved. Todd's not doing this. But I'm being asked to play differently and it is working. The numbers are coming through. I'm enjoying myself, so let's just enjoy it. And that report was by Matthew Lindsay. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of January, from the sports section. Warnock set to be named interim manager until end of season. Report by John McGill. Aberdeen are set to appoint Neil Warnock as their interim manager until the end of the season, according to reports. The Pittodrie club are reported to be in advanced talks with the 75-year-old as they look for a short-term replacement for Barry Robson. Robson followed Derek McInnes, Stephen Glass and Jim Goodwin in leaving the position of Aberdeen manager around this time of the year in 4 seasons running, and the club looks set to take their time over the next long-term appointment. Warnock has long stated he wanted to manage in Scotland and has an affection for Morton, given he is a home in Dunoon, across the Firth of Clyde from Greenock. He revealed last year that he thought he was once close to getting the Hearts job. Warnock came out of retirement 12 months ago to return to Huddersfield and steered them from second bottom to safety in the Sky Bet Championship. The former Leeds, Sheffield United and Cardiff manager departed in September with his work done and did not rule out restarting his career. "My health is good, I've never felt better. If anything, I've got the buzz again," he said. "You don't know what going to be the next knock on the door is going to be. I'm sure when February comes around, people will be asking me again." Warnock could potentially have a high-profile debut as Aberdeen take on Rangers tomorrow night at Ibrox. They will travel to Glasgow on a high after caretaker manager Pete Levin inspired vast improvement from his side in the second half of their home clash with Celtic on Saturday. After failing to take a shot at goal before the break and barely having any possession in the final third, the Pittodrie outfit took the lead through Bojan Majowski in the 50th minute and had several opportunities in the 1-1 draw. First-team coach Levin afterwards stated he was taking his new role day by day. "It's a great bunch of boys. They were running all over the pitch. They gave everything," he said. "Whoever's coming in, great team, great bunch of boys. We just need to believe in ourselves because we're a top team, and you could see that in the second half." The draw left Aberdeen in 8th place in the Cinch Premiership standings, 20 points behind Hearts in 3rd place. And that article was written by John McGill. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 5th of February, Sport. Women's Scottish Cup. Ross Roos missed chances as Hibs stumped City out of cup following shootout. Report by Alison McConnell. Hibernian emerged on top as an old rivalry was renewed at Petershill Park yesterday afternoon, with Grant Scott's side nicking Glasgow City to a quarter-final Scottish Cup spot after a thrilling 5-4 penalty shootout victory. The two behemoths of the women's game have effectively shared the trophy for the last 15 years or so, other than sporadic interventions, with City manager Leanne Ross now urging her side to use the hurt from their exit to fuel their championship drive. Scotland internationalist Lauren Davidson had given City an ideal start to the game when she had them ahead after just 7 minutes before Leah Eddy's volley restored parity before the break. Neither game could find a breakthrough, with the game decided on penalties. Muirhead Fulton was the first to blink. She missed before Shannon McGregor then suffered the same fate for Hibs. There was heartbreak for City and veteran Joe Love, who knocked her effort against the crossbar. Joe Murray held her nerve to convert the decisive kick and send Hibs through. "I thought it was a poor game," said City boss Leanne Ross. "I don't think anyone really stamped their authority on the game. It is what it is. They took their chances. We missed a couple in the shootout and Hibs deserved to go through. It is hugely disappointing. The players will be hurting, but we need to take that hurting into the remaining league games and use it to work for us." Rangers offered further confirmation that they're on course for a campaign that will offer various silverware routes this season, with Joe Potter's side hammering managerless Dundee United 9-0 with 8 different goalscorers chipping in. Top of the table, and with the Sky Sports League Cup final against Partick Thistle to look forward to next month at Tynecastle, it will be intriguing to see who, if anyone, can stop them. Rachel Rowe, Ailey Austin, Brogan Hay, Catherine Hill and Jane Ross netted in the opening period to put the tie to bed before the break. Ross added a second half penalty, while Olivia McLaughlin got her first goal for the club. Rangers kept going with goals for Lisa Martinez, and Mia McCauley completing the rout. "I was extremely happy," said Joe Potter. "Starting the game we were fresh and ready to go, and I think you saw that. It is great to see the different types of goals we score too. It is not a one-dimensional performance." Elena Sadiku got her first win as Celtic manager, with Natalie Ross bagging a first half hat-trick as the holders thumped Hamilton Accies 6-0. Chloe Craig and Caitlin Hayes added second half goals either side of an Accies own goal to get Celtic back to winning ways after defeats to Rangers and Glasgow City. "I feel like we controlled the game from start to finish," said the Swede. "I said we wanted to create a lot of chances, and we did, while they had no shots, so mission complete. I'm really looking forward to what is ahead of us now. We have learned a lot from the games. We have training now on Tuesday and the game on Wednesday night, and we will keep on taking those steps." Partick Thistle continued their strong campaign with a 3-1 win over Queen's Park. Rose McQuillan had opened the scoring before Ellie Kane cancelled that out. Carla Boyce netted her first goal for the club before Cara Henderson netted a late third. Elsewhere, Livingston won 5-4 in penalties against Gartcairn, following a 2-2 draw. Spartans narrowly beat SWPL rivals Aberdeen 2-1. Hearts defeated host East Fife 10-0, and Montrose also won big, 5-0 against Stirling University. And that article was by Alison McConnell. That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q&Review and to tell your friends about our service.